Tonight, a Warren County teen's suicide is gaining nationwide attention.
It's stirring a movement of sorts, with some now demanding greater acceptance of transgenders. Joshua Alcorn was born a boy, but wrote in her suicide note that she was a female and wanted to be referred to as Leela.
The 17-year-old blamed her death on her parents' failure to accept her gender identity and sexuality. 9 on Your Side's Jason Law spoke to her family and friends about Leela's devastating suicide note. Jason?
As a rule, we generally do not cover suicides unless there are mitigating factors, like if the suicide was in a public place or the result of bullying or discrimination. According to Leela's suicide note posted on the blog website Tumblr, she ended her life because she couldn't gain acceptance from her own family.
17 years ago, Joshua Alcorn's birth certificate listed her as a boy. But her suicide note says she knew she was a girl from a very young age. She wanted to be known as Leela.
One day he finally posted on Facebook that, like, hey, I'm coming out, you know, like, this is me, this is who I am. And everybody was like, yeah, man, that's great. Came to school and everybody gave him massive support.
Chris Davis grew up next door to Leela. He says his friend didn't have problems at school. The problems were at home.
I hate the fact that he had to live in a home that didn't support him. And that's just unfair.
In a Tumblr blog posted hours after her suicide, Leela blasts her parents' lack of support. She wrote, "The only way I will rest in peace is if one day transgender people aren't treated the way I was. They're treated like humans with valid feelings and human rights. Gender needs to be taught about in schools. The earlier the better. My death needs to mean something."
Occasionally he'd tell me, like, oh, I feel like I'm something else or I'm someone else, and wouldn't go too far with it. You know, I'd feel like it was something, it was really personal to him.
9 on Your Side spoke with Leela's mother briefly at their home. She said she didn't want to talk to us for the story. But the conversation is growing within the transgender community. Vicky is with the Cincinnati support group Crossport.
Regardless of how bleak it is and how bleak it looks, there is always, always a brightness at the end of that long, dark tunnel.
I really wish that I could have been there for him, you know, more often. I wish I could have been, I feel like, a pretty bad friend.
Well, tonight, Leela's former high school, Kings High School, will hold a moment of silence for Alcorn before tonight's basketball game tonight at 7:30.
All right, Jason, thank you.
What I think a transgender teen is when, like, a female, like, wants to, like, wear, like, male clothes and male everything else.
What do I think transgender is? It's when a boy or a girl feels that they're the opposite sex.
Yes, I would accept my daughter or son if they became transgender. Why? Because I'm their mom and I would accept whatever they want, whatever makes them happy.
Would I accept my kids no matter what and why if they were transgender? Absolutely. I think you should love your children no matter what. And if their feelings are that way, then that's the way it is. Why do I not think some families accept transgender? I think it's more of a age issue or a, what do you call it? Generation issue. the older generation just didn't accept it.
I think families don't accept transgender children that much simply because of religion and all that.
I don't think a lot of families accept transgender teens because maybe the older generations just don't understand.